right, team, how we doing? This is Coach Dana Cavalea coming at you with the Becoming a Champion show, where we are all about inspiration, motivation, and encouragement to move you along your high performance journey. And I'm super excited to be here with you today. As I always say, I record this on a Monday, and I'm excited to kick off Monday with you. And coming off the weekend, you know, in the summer, many people struggle with their habits over the weekend in the summer. And I want to talk today about habits. As you know, I wrote the book, Habits of a Champion. We have the next book, Habits of a Champion Team, coming out this fall, which I'm super excited about. When I think of habits, though, most people don't greet the word habits with a positive, right? They think of a habit as something negative, or I have these negative habits. It's very easy to talk about the negative habits that we have, because when we have negative habits, we're always thinking about, how do I take these negative habits and turn them into good, productive, high yield habits? And today I want to talk to you about that, how to enhance your habits, how to create better habits. And today specifically, I want to talk to you about the word triggers. See, I believe this about habits. Habits, both good and bad, are triggered by something before the habit part, right? So let's look at it like this. Let's say you're somebody that takes in too much sugar, and you say, hey, I have a bad habit, and the bad habit is I take in too much sugar. Well, when we start to figure out, well, what leads to me taking in too much sugar, that something would be your trigger, right? So some people may say, well, when I have a cup of coffee, I always crave something sweet. And that's when I grab that cookie. And when I grab that cookie to have with my coffee, it makes me want more sugar throughout the day. So the cookie is not the trigger, and sugar is the bad habit. But what is the trigger? And the trigger is actually the cup of coffee. So what do? Well, we can not have the cup of coffee, or if we're having several cups a day and they're triggering that, those cups of coffee are triggering more sugar intake, well, we would simply reduce the amount of coffee, and therefore naturally we would reduce the amount of sugar that we take in. Or what we can do is substitute. We can say, hey, when I have coffee, I know consciously, I know that it triggers me to want sugar. I'm going to have something else instead. So you'd have your something else instead readily available. And that's an example as it relates to nutrition. But let's talk about another bad habit, right? Let's talk about the bad habit of lacking productivity, not getting enough done. And if we look at it and say, okay, the bad habit is not getting enough done, low productivity, well, what's the trigger of that? Well, when I don't have a written plan for my week, and I don't have a scheduled plan for my week, which I start the week before, well, that's when I'm very reactive. And because of my reactivity, I'm not as productive and I don't get as much done. And then I find myself stressing because I didn't get enough done. So the bad habit is, right, lack of productivity. But what's the trigger? The trigger is not having a written plan and schedule, and scheduling that written plan truly. So if you schedule your written plan and you schedule it in advance, when Monday comes, you hit the ground running, and it just becomes full on execution of schedule for the week. And therefore, the outcome is positive, right? You have a positive habit, which is being more productive. But oftentimes when we say, I want to be more productive, I want to lose weight, we're not thinking in terms of habits, and we're not thinking in terms of triggers. But when we start thinking in terms of habits and triggers, habit and trigger, we can say, these are the things that I do, which are my triggers that lead to bad habits, or these are the things that I do that lead to good habits. So if I were to schedule myself in advance, I would have the positive outcome of being more productive. If I were to reduce the amount of coffee I intake by having more water, As a result, I would naturally take in less sugar. And because I take in less sugar, well, I'd naturally lose weight. So too many times we're not thinking in terms of trigger and habit. We're just saying, this is what I want. I want to lose weight. I want to make more sales. I want to be more productive. I wanna. But if you don't understand the mechanisms that are at play that are either A, leading you to victory, or B, costing you victory, there's no way that you could modify the habit as a result of the trigger to get what it is that you want. And everybody that I talk to wants to be a champion, wants to be a high performer, wants max results in all that they do. The biggest issue is they don't understand why it is they are doing what it is they are doing and why it is they are getting the results that they are getting. People ask me all the time, Coach, how do you do it? How do you get so much done? And I'm very, very strict with my schedule. I'm very strict with my schedule, and I keep one of these note cards on my desk at all times. And I break it into my everydays. These are the everyday fundamentals I have to do. These are my to-dos. I give myself a whole week to knock out those things that I have to do. And then I have some other sections, like one is based on my writing. I got to get this book done. And here's the things I need to do that are relevant to that. And then when I cross-reference this with my schedule that I keep on my phone in my Google Calendar, it all works out. Everything has a place. Everything has a plan. And by doing that, the results are much more predictable week over week over week over week over week. And those predictable results add up. And you know what else happens? You become more confident in your process. And that process yields more and more results over time. And therefore, you're not always searching and saying, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? What do I have to do? And it becomes this whole reactive process. That becomes eliminated when you actually have a set of good habits that are scheduled habits. And by executing on those habits day in and day out, you get the predictable result. Unfortunately, the same is true with bad habits. And you also get a predictable result with bad habits. Unfortunately, the result is often bad, and that's not what you want. So if you're somebody that's struggling with your habits, you're struggling to get things back on track, just ask yourself, hey, this is the result I'm getting. What's triggering it, right? So today is all about triggers and habits. So ask yourself, hey, this is the result I'm getting. Well, what is the trigger? What's the trigger that's triggering this result? And what can I do to change my trigger so that I can get a more positive result? And when you do that, everything will change. But start with one thing at a time. You may have 5 negative habits. You only change one at a time. That's my rule. When it comes to habit change, only one at a time. Master that, and then invite the next habit that needs to be changed to show up. That is how you effectively change habits over time. And you can't do too many things at once. Regardless of what gurus say and people say, you can't change multiple habits at one time and be successful. Look at it as an approach that layers on top of each other. Okay, I'm changing this habit. I've showed competency at this for 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks. And now I'm going to change this habit. And I've showed competency in this 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks. And then I add the next one. And it just layers. But each time you change a habit, you keep that initial process in place and it maintains itself. And then the next one maintains itself. And then the next one maintains itself. It's just oftentimes when I coach people, everybody wants everything at once, right? It's that insta culture that we're in. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So I just wanted to put this out there for you today. I hope you enjoy. And if there's anybody that you know that's looking to change their habits, they have to understand their triggers. So do me a favor and share this episode with them. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Becoming a Champion show. It is a simple concept of triggers and habits, triggers and habits, triggers and habits. But it's very powerful when you master it and when you get it down. So that's what I want for you. I want you to put this into action. I always say, I'm not here to speak to you. I'm not here to provide you just another entertaining show that you could listen to as a podcast. I want this to be a show about coaching and a show about development. So you got to take what I'm teaching and put it into play. And when you do that, you'll start to get very, very unique results, some results that you've never had before. And like I always say, if you need more help, reach out and I'm happy to coach you. So that's what I got for you today. And for those of you that haven't been to danacavalea.com, head on over there, get on the daily blog, 30, 60, 90 seconds of touch every single day, Monday through Friday, to keep you fired up, to keep you encouraged, to keep you motivated, and to keep you learning new habits, tools, and skills to move yourself forward. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, give us a share, give us a like, write something nice about us on iTunes. And I greatly appreciate it. And help us to build this team of champions. I'll see you next week. Stay strong and do some winning this week, because that's what it's all about. Winning. Go get it. See ya.